Only took an
I
extra
forgot.
fucking
I
half an hour.
forgot. When I got here, I was pretty sure that's what we were after, but I don't know anymore.
All right. Well, welcome everybody. It only took half an hour to get going.
Yeah.
Yeah, running OBS on a MacBook Pro apparently not great. So we switched the desktop. We got it working. Hopefully, chat can see what's going on right now. Right, chat, please, for the love of God,
Mm,
maybe.
I'm I'm not seeing it yet, but I could be
Uh
behind. You
oh.
know my internet.
Uh oh. Hold on. Oh wait. Okay, it just popped up. Technical issues galore today, chat. Um, it's been a day. It's been a week. It's been a week, EJ. But it's draft week, so we can't complain too hard because we're finally going to get to the end of this road. We've been watching prospects for 12 weeks now, right? Essentially.
More than that. I started mid-December, so I took a couple weeks off because I got really sick after Shrine Bowl, which kind of screwed up the whole schedule. But yeah, I started like December, I don't know, 12th or 15th or something. I don't remember exactly what day, but it literally outside of the 2 weeks that we were both really, really sick. I've watched prospects every day since then.
Well, you got sick at Shrine Bowl.
Yeah,
Like in the
carried it
middle of
all.
our interviews, you were like
Yeah,
just white knuckling it, staring at
yeah,
Savone Revel like just Brett. I need you to ask questions because I can't think right now.
yeah. Trying not to cough a lung on a draft prospect and get sued. Yeah, that would have been terrible.
Well, for you, chat, for people, the hundreds of people that have been waiting for this to start, I appreciate you guys for being patient. Like we said, had some technical difficulties. A lot's been going on, but we're here. It's mock draft time. This is our annual tradition. We do a live mock draft so that I can see how you guys are reacting in real time to it. And also, my wonderful co host over on the Bootleg Football Podcast, EJ Snyder, stops by my channel every single year to roast me during said mock draft. Before we get going, quick reminder, if you're looking for a second and or third screen during the draft later this week for every single pick, all 7 rounds, roughly 17 hours, uninterrupted, commercial free, we got you over on the Bootleg Football Podcast, and we're going to give not just analysis of the players, but why their teams took them, whether it's talent deficiencies or schematic fits or financial situations or upcoming free agents. There's a lot of reasons why a team could take a prospect. We're going to try to cover every single angle of every single pick. So, if you're looking for a place to hang out during the draft and you're not a super big fan of, let's call it the mainstream coverage of the draft, make sure to stop by the Bootleg Football Podcast. We got you, again, every single day, every single pick. No breaks in this dojo. EJ, I'm going to start up this mock draft. We're doing it on the PFF mock draft simulator because it's probably just the easiest way to display everything. Starting, of course, with the Tennessee Titans. There are no trades in my mock drafts. You guys know that. It's like my one rule, mainly because it's like impossible to project trades anyway, let alone in this draft class where there's not really anybody, I don't want to say worth trading up for, but yeah, kind of. Like, it's just not a strong quarterback class, which is what usually generates a whole bunch of trade movement in the first place. I don't really see any of the defensive linemen, being somebody you want to trade up for, and I don't think the receivers are going to trade up for either. So I don't expect that many trades in the real draft anyway, but we're not projecting trades in this mock draft, which of course puts us on the clock with the Tennessee Titans. This is the only pick that I really can't, or rather really won't spend like 10 minutes on because it's so obvious, and I feel like it's been obvious since like January at this point that Cam Ward was going to go first overall, so I'm not going to beat around the bush. I'm just going to take Cam Ward here. But I want to emphasize wow, he actually is pretty far down on PFF's board.
They dropped him last week. I had the same thing. I started getting like
I'm like
Mason
just
Graham at
scrolling and
one.
scrolling.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let's just go to quarterback. There we go. He's 20th on the board. How about that? I don't know if I'd put him 20th. I think if I did a big board and not just position rankings, I'd probably have him like 15 or so, which seems fair because the upside is so high. But I also acknowledge the downside, not even downside. it's just the inexplicable, inexcusable turnovers is like the main reason why I don't have as high a grade on him as I did on the top quarterbacks last year, because it is just head scratching, some of the picks that he threw. However, he is talented enough to dig you out of that hole. So he will. Again, I said Will Levis Gene a little bit when we had JT on, but somebody in the comments gave an even better comp, and that's Jordan Love. We're like, you know how Jordan Love is just going to throw some picks where you're like, Jordan, what the hell are you doing? But he's so good, he's going to dig you out of that hole more often than not because he's such a gifted thrower. I almost feel like Cam Ward is in that Jordan Love category where he's going to make you mad at some point during the game. And yet, you're still going to be in it in the fourth quarter because he's such a good playmaker and he's just an assassin in the intermediate area of the field between 10 and 20 yards. Again, do I have a high grade on him, or as high a grade on him as I had for Caleb and Jaden and Drake? Like even JJ McCarthy. I was a JJ McCarthy guy. No, but I do have about an equivalent grade as I had on Bo Nix. And I was a Bo Nix guy too. Like I had Bo Nix as a top 12 pick and like worth a top 12 pick. And Bo ended up having a pretty good rookie year. So I'll say this, EJ, before you get into your thing or your piece of this. If Cam Ward had the same rookie year in 2025 that Bo Nix had in 2024, I feel like Titans fans would be happy with it.
I think they'd probably be thrilled with that. Bo Nix came on really strongly at the end of the season, and I agree with the stuff you've said about Cam. I would have had him maybe a tick higher than you did last year. I was not as high on JJ McCarthy. I would have had Cam slightly above him. McCarthy probably pretty equal with Penix. It would have been a question of really fit as to what you want. Penix has some athleticism. Cam has more. Penix, I think, is more accurate down the field, but Cam has a bigger arm. That's not really debatable. And it's he said he's going to make you mad at some point in the game. And I think that's valid for both fan bases involved, right? The home team's going to be pissed that he played a little YOLO ball, and the opposing team's going to be like, how the hell did he hit that guy in the corner of the end zone, 35 yards down the field on a dead run with a defender, dragging him down around the ankles? And both things are going to happen. So it's going to be exciting football. I think he is worthy of the number one pick. I can certainly see why the Titans do this, because they don't really have another choice is the other option. You cannot march back out there with Will Levis and tell your fans like, oh, we're serious about winning football, because if you do that, you're not. Will Levis is bad enough that's people are going to see through that. Football fans have access to information, and they're going to go, no, that's not a real thing.
Second overall pick. There's been a lot of debate among Browns fans. Not necessarily, should we take Shedeur Sanders? I don't think most Browns fans even want Shedeur Sanders. It's more so, should we take Abdul Carter or should we take Travis Hunter? And there's arguments for both, right? Like Travis Hunter, I think, would be the best receiver on the team. And, even though they have Jerry Jeudy, I still think they need another receiver, another dynamic weapon. Travis Hunter would be that. I don't really think they have a massive need at corner, even though Emerson is coming off I think it's fair to say, uncharacteristically down year. I thought before 2024, Emerson was awesome. And, Ward's coming off a great year. So corner is not necessarily a massive need for them, but at the same time, Hunter does kind of insulate them from injury, where if a guy goes down, I'm like, yeah, I'll play Travis Hunter at corner. If we really need him to be a full-time corner for a little bit, like we can get by. But I think his main role with Cleveland would be receiver. And then, something that Daniel Jeremiah brought up recently that I thought was really interesting was have him be a corner specifically on third down. Yeah. Because defenses, like, they have third down packages that a lot of times aren't really, like, it's kind of its own thing, right? Like your third and long, your third and medium, your third and short, you have specific calls for those situations that you're game planning for. Red zone is its own thing. And so if we get a no huddle third down where it's like we're making substitutions, we have time to put them on the field, and we only have like 5 calls on the sheet for that anyway, like something he can learn in install, it would make sense for him to be a package corner specifically on third and long. Maybe not third and short, because I don't really want him to get exposed to crack toss tackling Derrick Henry, but third and long, package corner, full-time receiver, I think that can work, obviously. And then the Abdul Carter argument is, hey, we're spending $40+ million on Myles Garrett. It might make sense for the next 5-6 years to have a rookie contract opposite him that can kind of balance out the spending there at that position. Plus, it's Abdul Carter. He's sick, right? For me personally, I favor the Travis Hunter side of that coin. He is my number one player in this draft, so I'm going to go with Travis Hunter there. But I fully understand the Abdul Carter argument for Cleveland from a financial perspective. Plus, again, he's pretty sick.
I think it's Hunter. I think they play him at wide receiver. I've switched on that. I started off in my early draft interviews, did a bunch of the combine where I said, hey, I think he's a corner that plays package receiver. As I went through and did my full study of him in both positions, which is, I think, a first for me. I don't think I've done two full, complete studies for one player at two totally different positions. And I came away from that saying, nope, he's a receiver as a package corner. And I think that actually makes a ton of sense. And you can do it a bunch of ways. You can do it the way DJ said, or by the way, Andrew Berry said that this week. He said, no, we're looking at him as receiver and he'll play a little bit of corner. I was like, aha, maybe I do know something after all. That's awesome. But the way I see it, that you could also do it is if Stefanski's just getting pissed, if somebody's marching down the field on the Browns defense and it's one guy and they're just feeding the hot hand on receiver of Travis, go get that guy. One double whoever, right? And you literally put him out there as a stopper because he's just going to play man, right? You're just going to go, hey, go man up 87. Like, make sure he does not catch the next three passes.
I'll say this. If it's a receiver that Denzel Ward can't handle in man, we got bigger problems, right? Because that means, like, the ghost of Megatron has come back.
No, that's true. But Ward also had a bit of a down year last year and is getting up there in years, too. And if you have a guy, or if you have two guys, I mean, that's a great problem to have. If you're bringing on your closer, right, to use a baseball analogy, and you're just like, okay, shut them down. Make sure they don't get any throwing windows for the next 2 or 3 downs, whether it's red zone or, end of the half, whatever it is. Like, Travis, get out there and make sure that guy catches nothing for the next 3 plays. I think he can be incredibly valuable. That's a really strong way to make sure they don't turn the, end of the first half, beginning of the second half, turn 2 that can really put you behind. So, and as a receiver, he very quickly becomes the one in Cleveland.
Yeah.
Like, beauty or not, he, like, probably by the end of training camp is the number one in Cleveland. So for me, for those reasons, he's the pick at 2.
I forgot to mention earlier, by the way, this is a what I would do mock, not a predictive mock. I really respect the people that try to do predictive mocks, but I'm not going to act like my Rolodex is deep enough to do that.
Yep.
I'll leave that to Peter Schrager and to, like, Field Yates and all them. That's not my game. I just do what I would do, and I see how accurate and or inaccurate I was as far as player evaluation. Now, third overall pick. This one's a little bit tricky because it should be Abdul Carter, but at the same time, I think if it's Abdul Carter, you kind of have to trade Kayvon Thibodeau because I really don't want to go into the season with 3 edges that are sub 260. Right. And if you're taking Abdul Carter, you really don't have a role for Kayvon Thibodeau anymore. And so I'll use Rakeem Nunes-Noches as like my 300-pound, 5 technique, 6 technique, like set the edge, get us to third down. And then Abdul Carter comes in opposite Brian Burns. So we have our speed off the edges, Dexter in the middle. But where's Kayvon Thibodeau going to get his snaps if he's still there and Abdul's there and Brian Burns is there? Like, he's injury insurance at that point. So I would trade Kayvon, get what you can from that, which at this point, 4th round pick, high 4, low 3, comp pick trade kind of territory for because I think Kayvon's fine. I just don't think he's like amazing. So it's a similar story to another former first rounder. I would suggest trading coming up pretty quick here. But I just don't think that he can live on the roster when you have Abdul Carter and Brian Burns. And, oh, by the way, theme of the day, Abdul Carter, pretty sick football player. So he is my pick at 3rd overall. I think he is a tremendous, tremendous talent. And I'm working on a piece for Next Gen Stats right now, depending on where he goes in the draft. I'm assuming it's going to be with the Giants. His acceleration on a sack that he had, I want to say it was against Ohio State, when he beat Donovan Smith. His acceleration in his first 3 steps on that sack was higher than any acceleration we have ever measured on any Micah Parsons sack ever. And that is Micah freaking Parsons. It was higher than any breakaway run that they had from Saquon Barkley last year. Like, his first step speed is wicked. Like, truly, truly unique. Like, he's got some of the best get off I've ever seen. Like, you remember Bud Dupree at Kentucky, where like it was unreal, and we're like, boy, if Bud Dupree learns to do all the other stuff besides have a wicked first step, he's gonna be a great football player. And then he did. Bud Dupree put together a nice little career. Abdul Carter is that, but he's already a good football player. Yep. So I can't take anybody other than him here at 3. And then on the back end, I'm just trading Kayvon for like an early day 3 pick.
Yeah, there are very few blue chip players in this draft. Abdul Carter, I believe, is one of them. There have been some, whispers about injury concerns. Again, we're not doctors. We don't get to see those. And even if we did, we wouldn't know what to do with them. So it's whether or not a team's comfortable with him. And a lot of times at this time in the year, that's just smoke trying to, maybe drive a guy down a pick so that you can get your hands on him. In terms of, I would agree with you about Kayvon Thibodeau. Who do you think lines up to get him? Who do you think comes into the queue for Kayvon Thibodeau? Because teams are looking at that too, and they're saying the same thing.
Honestly, the Bears. I'm being serious. They need to add to the edge room. They can throw a 4th rounder at it.
Yeah,
they got money.
Would certainly look. There are a few other teams depending on how this edge board stacks, because the edge board up high, even if you believe Carter is completely healthy, he's going to be gone very quickly. And then the next couple of edge rushers on the board have some really serious questions. So it's not like teams don't need edge help. Teams always need edge help, but they might wait on that. And Kayvon Thibodeau doesn't have a lot of those questions. He is a vet. He's a proven commodity. You know what you're getting. Might not be the top end rush you thought you were getting, but he's still a very good player. So it'd be really interesting to see which teams kind of go, oh, hey, we don't have to spend a draft pick, or a high draft pick on edge. We can get a lower draft pick and get a quality player. So I think he would absolutely have market. It's not going to be, top of the draft market, but he would have a market. So I know some people like, oh, you're not going to get anything if you pick Carter. He's a quality edge player. You're going to get something for him.
Also, I just want to note, I did not consider Shedeur here at all, even for one moment. And I understand the Giants are, but it's what I would do, Mock, and I would not. Because I don't have a first-round grade on him, and I'm not spending a top 3 pick on a quarterback I don't have a first-round grade on. Like Cam Ward, sure, first-round grade on Cam Ward. Yep. Great. Like, we'll take that at number 1. It's a big stretch for me to do Shedeur that high, so I just won't. All right, Patriots on the clock. Here is, for a lot of people, where the draft starts. Because there's so many different players you can have so many different arguments about. There's the Tetero and McMillan camp of like, let's get a weapon. There's an emerging Ashton Genty camp for the Patriots, which I didn't expect. To which I say, running behind whom? Like, okay, guys, come on now. There's the Will Campbell camp. There's the Armand Membu camp. There's the screw it, trade up for Travis Hunter camp and sacrifice our firstborn children, which I totally understand. For me, I'm in the Armand Membu camp. So I'm going to take him at number 4 overall. I know, people are saying left tackle is a bigger need than right tackle. I look at it similar to Fuaga last year with the Saints. Yeah, he played right tackle in college. He flipped to left. He had no issues. It's one of those, you'll know going into the draft if he can flip to the left side just based on your pre-draft workouts. And if they're confident he can play left tackle, they'll take him as a left tackle. He's a freak athlete. He's got length. His tape is awesome. He has one of the best analytical profiles out of any tackles in this class as far as like pressure percentage allowed on true dropbacks. He's nasty in the run game. Like he's a plug and play tackle, like day one, and he's a rare athlete. So for me, it's like, okay, I've seen Fuaga make the transition. I've seen Tristan Wirfs make the transition. If you're a great athlete, you're a great athlete. I trust them to figure it out. And at worst, if it's like, oh no, we just got a Pro Bowl right tackle, whatever will we do? Like I'm good with it either way. So Armand Membu, I think he's the cleanest, safest tackle with the fewest questions in this draft. He's my pick at 4th overall.
Love the athlete, love the profile. They definitely need both tackles. That's, people are making the argument that one tackle need is bigger than the other. You have two. And for everybody saying Morgan Moses, at this point in Morgan Moses' career, he is a placeholder and he gets hurt every year. So even if Membu is drafted, he's going to end up playing at right this year. And that's not bad, because if he is a cornerstone at right for the next, 5 to 7 years, which is a long time, regardless of being a first round pick or not, that's very valuable. And you can't hide tackles in the NFL anymore, because defenses are going to move rushers to the weakest tackle. They're not always going to line up on one side. You need two good ones. And yeah, you need a left tackle, and they will probably go after another one in this draft. They need to double dip. They choose the best available one here and, start looking for other options as they go down the board.
I also want to make a note to chat, and this is something we'll talk about throughout our draft stream. Again, shameless plug over on the Bootleg Football Podcast channel. All 7 rounds, every single pick. As we go throughout the draft stream, I'm going to make this note every single time a right tackle and a left tackle go off, and there's not that big a difference between the two positions these days. Like, there's really not. And if you're looking at the traditional quote-unquote role of a left tackle versus a right tackle, run games are always right-handed, so you'd have like your Phil Loadholt tackle over on that side. You have your more nimble dancing bear pass protector on the left side because it's the quote-unquote blind side. But it was really the blind side because back in those days, up until, a decade ago, maybe 12, 15 years at most, it was really the blind side because most offenses spent the majority of their time under center. Like teams, as recent as like 2010, you could see teams line up in empty under center with like Carson Palmer, which was hilarious. But like it wasn't that long ago, folks, right? And when you're lining up under center and you have predominantly right-handed quarterbacks, like, yeah, the left side is going to be the blind side because the drops are taking, 7-step drops with your back to that side. Now, with offenses generally being like 60 to 70% gun for the most part, the drops are quicker, so you're not turned away from that side for as long of a period of time. And also, like, there's so many like spread influences with snapshot reads where like oftentimes the quarterback isn't just looking to his right and then working his way left. It's like a lot of times he's looking to his left anyway. So blindside isn't really blind anymore because of the structure of these passing games and just how quarterbacks are getting the snap period. So again, the tackles are more equal, right? And that's why it's even reflected in the pay. Like some of the top paid tackles are Lane Johnson, Penei Sewell, Tristan Wirfs once upon a time before he flipped to the left side. But I think it's not really you have a pass protecting tackle and a run blocking tackle. You just have tackle 1 and tackle 2, and you figure out which side they're more comfortable on. But they do the same thing. They accomplish the same goal, which ultimately for the Patriots is keep Drake May from dying, which I think is probably a good plan.
That's job 1.
Job 1. All right. Jags on the clock. I promise this is not me hopping on a trend. I have been advocating for this for like a month at this point. EJ and I went on the NFL Stock Exchange in our bootleg NFL SE crossover, and I talked EJ into doing Ashton Jeanty at 5th overall for the Jags, and everybody said I was crazy. Here we are, and now Jeanty's the overwhelming favorite to go to the Jags. So again, I'm a hipster on this. I did it first. I claim credit. No, I really don't. It's stupid. But I just want to say I'm not hopping on a trend here. I've believed this for a while, that Ashton Jeanty is a perfect fit for the Jags at 5 because Travis Etienne's going into the last year of his deal, and it's Travis Etienne. Need I say more? Like, is Travis Etienne going to keep you from drafting Ashton Jeanty? He wouldn't for me. I don't give a shit. Like, he's a mid running back. I want the good running back. I'm going to take Ashton Jeanty. Am I wrong here?
You're not wrong for taking Ashton Jeanty. A, I hate you. And B, I just want to jump on my soapbox and say I love draft season. Like, all of its warts, all of its flaws, all of its cool things. So 2.5 months ago, I was saying, Ashton Jeanty's not a bad pick at 10 to the Bears. And people were like, no, that's a terrible idea. It's not value. You don't do it. Oh, on and on and on. I got slings and arrows for like a month. And here we are. week of the draft, and people are like, he's never going to be there at 10. You're not even going to get the chance. He's going to be gone at 4. He's going to be gone at 5. He's going to be gone at 6. They're going to have to trade up to get him. And I'm like, okay. Now I'm the guy going, no. Like, that's not a great idea. But 2.5 months ago, when I said Genty was a great option at 10, people were like, no, man, that's a terrible idea. Now they're like, man, I wish I could get him at 10. I love draft season. It's awesome.
We work our way there eventually.
We do.
It's a slow-moving train, and it stops for nobody. Chat saying no one wants this. Nobody in the AFC South wants this. Jags do, I'll tell you that much.
Okay, can I give you my counterpoint as to why I don't think it'll happen?
Because you want them in Chicago because that's more fun?
Nah, I mean, yes, I want them in Chicago, but that's not my reasoning here. I'm actually going with my, regular NFL glasses on at this point, which is, think about Gladstone. This is your first pick as a GM. It's his show now. Youngest GM in the NFL by a bunch. Think about all the things that he pioneered that got him this job with the Rams, right? All their unique player evaluations, not going to the combine, building a young, ferocious defensive line with high picks. Like, you really and having success with late round running backs. Like, all those things fused together. You really think his first pick in the NFL at 5 is going to be a runner?
It one of two things. It's one of two things. It's either him or Warren. You know why? Because there's not that many elite players in this draft, and the shelf is steep. EJ.
No, I get it. But in terms of, again, seeing the league through a different lens, Gladstone has been leading that charge, and I wouldn't be surprised by another pick here at all. I would not be upset if I was a Jags fan and I got Ashton freaking Genty, because I've been driving that bus for a long time. So, Jags fans can be upset. They're going to be upset until he runs the ball like 5 times, and then they're going to be like, oh, no, that was a great idea.
Plus, you get contract control for 6 years.
Yeah, for sure.
So, at least 5, potentially 6, depending if you're going the Saquon route, which I don't advise not paying your running back after 5 years. But, at worst, you're getting him for 6 years of contract control. You're going to be fine. You're going to get him for his entire prime. I don't know. Just help Trevor Lawrence. I feel like that's not a bad idea. That does, however... Oh, we got NFL in the chat. Hi, NFL. Hello.
Hi.
That does leave the Raiders in a pickle. Because for months now, Genty's been the guy for the Raiders. And I feel like Raiders fans have already bought his jersey. Like, they have no backup plan. Raiders fans, that is.
Raiders fans, that is.
Like, they haven't really looked at a whole bunch of alternative options here. But I have, because I'm forced to. And there's 3 different position groups I would say the Raiders are going to lock in on their first 3 picks. It's running back, it's offensive line, and it's corner. I'll start with running back. Could you consider Omari and Hampton here? For me personally, the grades are very close for Genty and Hampton. It wouldn't be the wildest thing I've ever seen to take Omari and Hampton here. It's a little early for me, but not crazy, right? And especially after the Jahmyr Gibbs thing worked out for Detroit, where everybody was like, Gibbs that early? Well, Gibbs is pretty good. So, sometimes it really is just take the best football player, and you could argue Omari and Hampton is one of those, right? But I'm not going to go that direction. So next up is corner. Jahdae Barron for me. This is where you start to talk about Jahdae Barron at 6. Mm-hmm. And I know that might seem a little early for a very undersized corner who's not super long, and everybody looks at Pete Carroll, and they're like, okay, but he doesn't look like Richard Sherman. It doesn't make sense for Pete Carroll. And the argument I would say is, well, he does look a lot like Rondé Barber, right? And Rondé Barber is a DB that Pete Carroll absolutely loves to death, and people forget that before Seattle, Pete Carroll was a Tampa 2 guy. That's his lineage, is going all the way back to the beginnings of the Tampa 2. And, he played cover 3 on early downs at USC, and then they played Tampa 2 basically every single third down because he could. And, who's arguably the best Tampa 2 corner ever? Rondé Barber. He's an elite nickel, and when he's a curl flat player, I'm still not going to go Barron here. Ultimately, I look at the offensive line, and I see, okay, we have a big hole at left guard. We're moving JPJ to center, and center was their big issue last year as far as run blocking goes. We have a big hole at left guard, And we might have a decent sized hole at right tackle, too. I think jury's still out on DJ Glaze. He allowed 54 pressures last year in his rookie year. It's not exactly ideal. So for me, I'm going to go Will Campbell. And I'm going to let him and DJ Glaze fight it out in camp to decide who's going to be the left guard and who's going to be the right tackle. And we're going to finally solidify that offensive line and then come back on day 2 and pray to the football gods we can get like Quinshon Judkins and then maybe like whatever scraps are left at corner, in the third round. And I think that's probably the best way we can spend our top 2 picks for the Raiders.
I agree that everybody of all the teams, especially the ones in the chat that are, upset about whatever their team did, you got to look at it as a package. It's not just when you pick Membu to the Pats, everybody's like, so we're going to do this at left tackle. Like, you don't stop having picks after the first round. Like, you have other picks. There are players you can get. I like Jahdae Barron's fit with the Raiders because he's really versatile. I wouldn't have been upset with that. He's a very, very good corner. He played a ton in the slot. He's shorter, but he's also really thick and he's also really quick.
Oh yeah.
And so I like his versatility. They need all those things. They need outside corner. They need nickel. And nickel is really, really important. It's a cog in the base defense. You got to get somebody that can participate in the run fit. Barron can do that. I'm never going to say go away from the offensive line. And Pete dealt with some pretty ugly offensive line issues in his last couple of years as the Seahawks coach. I'm sure it's still fresh in his mind. And picking a very good offensive lineman. Now, again, we're, talking about swapping positions. Is Will Campbell going to be good at guard? I have reservations about that. Is he going to be able to switch to the right side? He's been a left tackle almost primarily. So, I don't know the answer to that. They will for sure. But the other thing, I don't know if you saw it last week, they might have a hole at left tackle.
With Colton Miller?
Yep.
What happened to Colton Miller?
Yeah, right before I went on Las Vegas radio, like a couple of hours, Colton Miller was like, I want more money. Like,
oh,
now.
For God's sake. So the Dan Moore contract is just fucking everything up.
Yep.
you give him $21 million, every actual good tackle is like, whoa.
Yeah, and I don't think Colton Miller's going to leave in the end because I think it's saber rattling to get more money, which happens all the time. And he does, in a lot of ways, have the Raiders over a barrel because if he leaves, whoa.
now we got issues.
Yeah. Now we're starting over, and now we have a perfect place for Will Campbell, who is as the left tackle. So, I mean, depending on how that goes, they're not going to know that the next week or two, so it's not really going to figure into their draft pick. But I don't think in the end Colton Miller leaves. I think he gets a raise and stays. And then your plan comes to fruition of like, hey, we're going to mix and switch and figure out who our 5 best are. But the bottom line is with offensive line, it's not your 5 best, it's your 8 best because guys are going to get injured. It's a long season. And they need to go up to get to 8. They probably need to go up to get to 5 at this point. So they got to keep adding throughout this draft, that offensive line.
Brings us to the Jets at the 7th overall pick. And the Jets are, to me, like the last station the train's going to hit before all the elite players are gone, right? And that's why I'm taking Tyler Warren. I think he is one of the only, well, in this case, basically the only blue chipper left. You could argue for a couple other guys. But I absolutely love Tyler Warren. I think he's absolutely worth this pick. For a long time in my mock, I had him getting to 14 with the Colts, and maybe that was, Colts fans manifesting that from afar, but I just don't think he's going to get there. I really don't. I think his floor at this point is the Jets. They got Jeremy Ruckert there and Stone Smart. Neither of those guys are TE1s. And I like Stone Smart, but he's a TE2, and Ruckert just hasn't really turned into what I hoped for when he was coming out of college. So Tyler Warren, dynamic weapon, absolutely an Aaron Glenn type of guy, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
As far as like toughness, physicality, work ethic, versatility. I mean, you can ask him to do anything. Like, oh my God, the Wildcat packages between him and Fields are just going to be nuts. And Brees, like, how are you going to know who's going to have the ball? I don't know how you defend it. It's going to be super fun. I think he is, again, one of the safest players in this draft at any position. And I think the Jets are damn lucky that they're picking at 7 and not at 8, or else they would not get him.
Yeah, I think they'll be licking their wounds a little bit. They too wanted a tackle. This happens every year with tackle. Everybody's like, oh, I'm going to get this great tackle at like 25. Buddy, you're going to get to 15 and 5 of them are going to be gone. You're not getting that great tackle. Whenever you hear a team, we had this discussion earlier this week about Kyle McCord, and you said to me about a team, oh, well, if they don't get what they want, McCord's their guy down the board. And I said to you, do you know how many teams I've heard from that McCord is their guy down the board?
10 of them.
No, like double that. Right? Like everybody's like, oh, we'll just get Kyle McCord a lot later. If 20 teams are saying that, you're not getting Kyle McCord a lot later. He's going to go earlier. And it's the same here. They wanted to tackle. They get a guy that very much fits with the Aaron Glenn program. And I think that's very important. He's a good player. Yeah, they wanted to tackle. They get a great player. You move on. And again, use some of your other picks to go after players you think can fill those roles in.
Brings us to the Panthers at 8. And EJ, again, as a Bears fan, you know this. Ejiro Avero's defense in Carolina, if I had to say, like, it's modeled after anything, I'd go back to the late 2010s Bears.
Sure.
Prince Amukamara on one side, Kyle Fuller on the other. We rush with 4. We don't blitz that much. We have monsters on the defensive line. We compress the pocket. We play really sound zone coverage 80 to 90% of the time. We rally and tackle. We take advantage of tip drills. And, occasionally we put a Khalil Mack type guy in that system who just takes over games and everybody else sits there and chills for 3 quarters.
Yep.
They already have their Prince Mukamara archetype there with J.C. Horn, who just got paid. And he was like the top paid corner for 5 minutes before Stingley reset it. I do think they need their own Kyle Fuller. And naturally, if you've been listening to me talk about Jahdae Barron at all in the last 3 months, he is their Kyle Fuller archetype. And Kyle was known for playing this shuffle technique where he'd be 8-9 yards off a receiver, back to the sideline, eyes on the quarterback. He's reading routes and he's going to break on it. Like, he was an absolute ball hawk. Like, that's Jahdae Barron's style. Like, they have very similar strengths and weaknesses. Now, Kyle was bigger than Jahdae, but if we're just talking about stylistic approaches to playing corner
Sure.
and coverage skill set, like Jahdae Barron to Kyle Fuller is actually, I think, a pretty decent comp for what he would do in this defense. And I think at this point, the Panthers just need anything on defense. Like, it doesn't matter what, just get something. Like, pass rush makes sense. Like, you could even argue for Shahad Campbell here if you really want to. Basically anything in the secondary other than J.C. Horn. I'm just going to go with Jahdae Barron here as far as, like, best defensive player on the board for me. And, like, he's just such a good kid. Like, I believe 100% that Jahdae Barron's going to walk into that room, be a leader day one. So he's a guy you can build your room around, and he's a damn good football player. Fans are going to adore him. I think he's probably their best option here.
He's absolutely a fit for all the reasons you talked about. And when we talk about that Ejiro Evero defense, it's Fangio DNA through and through. Like, Ejiro was under Vic. He understands all that. He spent a couple of years with him learning that defense. So a lot of the signatures look the same. In this case, I wouldn't be at all surprised if the Panthers go with Jalen.
Which, Walker?
Yeah.
I get it, but
yeah.
for me,
yeah,
that is so early. It's so early.
I would sleep better if I was the GM. I'm not with Jahdae Barron because I know what he is. I know what I'm getting. I know where I'm going to play him. There's none of this like projection or we need him to do stuff that he hasn't or whatever else. It's like, hey, go do all the stuff you did. Just do it over there because we got this side taken care of. We'll deal with the rest. And you know that he's going to be a good football player. And it needs to be said that in this draft, after about pick 4, your job as a GM in the first round is to get a good football player. Mm-hmm. And a good football player means somebody that comes in, fits in your organization, isn't a projection, and you're not going to be sad 2 years when you look back and go, well, we thought we had to take a insert position title here, so we took this guy. No, we took a good football player, which is why I'm not mad about the Jets pick. They get a good football player. Some people are like, oh, tight end in the top 10. Well, how can you do that? Well, because Tyler Warren's a good football player. Jahdae Barron, same way at 8, right? He's a good football player. They're not going to have questions about him. I wouldn't be surprised with them going rush. Rush in this case would probably be Jalen. But Jahdae Barron is a solid fit, and I think it's a smart pick.
And I really don't want to say that Jalen Walker's a bad football player. He's really not. It's just the reason why it's early for me, and I think also probably early for you. I haven't seen your final position rankings for.
It is early for me. It might not be early for Vero though. That's the
If they
ticket. He
think he's
knows
going to
how
be
to
like
use
Leonard
defense.
Floyd, like Leonard Floyd with more juice, like maybe as like that Sam linebacker type, but I don't see him as like a pure off-ball linebacker,
No.
and I don't see him as a pure edge. So he kind of has to be a Sam in that system, which again, maybe it can work. Like his character is off the charts. He's obviously a great athlete. Like I understand it. It's just for me, it's just early because I see this guy he's a ball of clay that doesn't really have a true position right now. And I think there's a very blurred line between positionless player and somebody who doesn't have a position. And that's the part I worry about. So we'll see. We'll see. Like I would understand it. It wouldn't be what I would do for sure.
Correct.
Brings us to the Saints now.
Yeah.
A lot of intrigue around.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Saints.
I'm fascinated at this point. Like, this is why I show up for this, because I, like everybody in chat, I've not seen these answers. So
I keep it under lock and key. I
no,
posted a version of it
see.
for my mods, by the way, and it's changed since then. So mods, you might be surprised by some of these too. I'll start by saying this. I would understand if they went Shador. Wouldn't be for me. I would understand it. They're in a dome. I think he fits Kellen's offense. Derek Carr might not play this year. And just like as a fit for the city of New Orleans, like I feel like Shador would be great there. Like I feel like the fan base would love him. Like I feel like he just fits the energy of the city. Like I don't know. I think he fits in New Orleans. But it's still early for me, so I'm not going to do it.
Okay.
But I would understand it. For me, I'm going to go with Kelvin Banks, the tackle out of Texas.
Oh.
However, would be playing left guard for them for this year because Trevor Penning is in the last year of his contract. Right. And Penning, I don't think they're going to extend Penning. So Penning's going to be gone by 2026. Then we move Kelvin over to right tackle, or maybe they move Fuaga to right tackle because he played there in college. If Banks can't be right tackle and he has to be on the left side, like they'll figure out that musical chairs. But they need a left guard and they need a tackle of the future. And
Banks.
It's Banks.
That's Banks. Bang on. You nailed it.
Like I think it'd be a great pick, and I get it. Like the ownership there always wants to draft for the right now because they always feel like they're on a knife's edge every single year. If Derek Carr's not playing, you're gonna be bad, folks. I'm sorry. Like, and I like Spencer Rattler. He's not gonna keep them out of the top 15 in 2026. Like, it is what it is. Pack it up. Like, it's not gonna be a great season. So for me, I'm approaching this pick from a standpoint of let's make sure that 2026 is as easy as humanly possible for all parties involved. Like we know 2025, if our starting quarterback is hurt, probably not going to be great. So like, let's take something that A, improves our team now at the left guard position, and B, makes it so that we're insulated from having to take another tackle next year. Let's just take care of it now. And we'll worry about quarterback in the future later. We'll worry about corner later. Like we'll figure all that out. Let's just take, to your point, a good football player. And we'll hope that this season is as watchable as humanly possible.
Yeah. And what I said earlier about tackles,
they're going to go.
Three tackles in the first 9.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you think you're going to wait and get the tackle you want, or, I'm going to steal that guy in the top of the second round or the middle of the second round. No, you're not. That guy's going to go at 21 as the 5th or 6th offensive tackle off the board. And then you're going to be like, damn, what are we going to do at left tackle? Because this is the way it's going to go. And teams are going to look at the value and say, hey, it's all pretty much even. I might as well take something that's really expensive and hope that he works out. And in this case, I like the fit because he is going to be a very good guard. He is not one of those tackles that I do have worries about moving to the inside. He's a powerful guy, has really good base, can move in space. I heard a bunch of people saying he doesn't hit his targets. He doesn't always hit his targets, but he's pretty good at his size, rolling to the outside and hitting targets. Like, go back to last year's film and watch all the propaganda that the Texas running backs got put up by Kelvin Banks, because it was him out there on the left side, primarily clearing out, second level defenders. So he can do that as well. I like the fit. it's a good value for them. And like you said, if they have a quarterback insecurity issue, they're not going to be great this year anyways, and they're planning for the future. He's a solid piece. He can play well this year. See if he can play tackle next year. I would like to see Kelvin Banks get a shot at tackle. I do think he is one of the tackles in this class that can play tackle. But that's next year after he's had his first year. He's gone through his long season with the draft cycle and no offseason and rookie bumps and all that. And then, in his second offseason, hey, he can go work with somebody and say, hey, you're going to be a tackle. Okay, cool. That's the best chance he's got.
I want to recap for people who have joined in the middle of this. We got Cam Ward at 1, Travis Hunter 2, Abdul Carter 3, Armand Membu at 4, Ashton Genty at 5, Will Campbell at 6, Tyler Warren at 7, Jahdae Barron at 8, and Kelvin Banks Jr. at 9, which brings us to the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, you get to figure out whether you're doing the rest of this solo or not.
EJ, who do you think I'm taking? I'm curious.
I don't know at this point because this is nightmare fuel for Bears fans.
It's the worst case scenario.
This is the worst. Like, Banks is everybody's fallback position. Banks is off the board at 9. So, Bears fans right now are sweating bullets. They don't want to hear what you're going to say because they're just like, dude, everything's blown up. I can tell you who I would take at this point.
Who would you take? I'm curious.
We talked about nightmare scenarios several times, as you can imagine, over the past couple of months. If this was the case and Derek Harmon's medicals were clear, I would take Derek Harmon. And if Ben wanted offense, I would take Emeka Egbuka and just walk away again with the sticky note that says, hey, get a good football player. And both of those guys in my mind are good football players. There's been some smoke, particularly today, about Harmon might be, pulled down the board by medical issues. Again, we don't know about that. But Emeka is one of the highest floor players, both on field and off field in this draft. He's one of the safest players in this draft. He's at a premium position. It is going to save you money down the road. Wide receivers are incredibly expensive. So those would be my two. If you wanted to go Nolan instead of Harmon, I'd understand it. And then the list kind of goes down. Banks is actually below Emeka Egbuka on that list for me. So there you go.
Notice there's one name, chat, that we have not said, and that's Mason Graham. I want to have a discussion about this because there's a lot of people who are not patrons for the Bootleg Football Podcast who did not hear this discussion.
That's right.
That we had about Mason Graham, because we did that on a patron-only episode. I like him. I really do. I think he is a good football player. Those words you will hear over and over and over again today. I don't really think Mason Graham is the type of prospect that I think people were selling us on throughout the season. I think he's good. I don't think he's elite. If we're looking at whether it's tape or just analytics, his pass rush win rate was, I want to say on true pass sets, 15th or 16th in this class, just among defensive tackles. He didn't win as often, nearly as often as a lot of other guys in this class, including the aforementioned Derek Harmon. And if you're looking at how he wins, it's a lot of quick wins on finesse moves. He has a really nasty arm over. He showed off a spin every now and then. He's got good feet and he's got good hips. Wait, hold on. OBS. All right. Chat, you still got me? Did we not Okay. We're reconnected. But if you're looking at all of Mason's wins, and I charted every single pressure he had this season. If you're looking at all of Mason's wins, it either happens immediately or doesn't happen at all. He doesn't have any sort of transition rush potential. Let's say it's a play action look and he has to transition from being a run defender into a pass rusher. Zero pocket compression ability. He had 2 power wins from a 3-point stance the entire season. Kenneth Grant had 2 just against Ohio State. He does not have the same power as a pass rusher that he does as a run defender, and it's because it's a different kind of power. There's stoutness, and then there's pocket compression. He's stout against the run. He does not compress the pocket as a pass rusher. So he is a finesse pass rusher through and through. And I really worry about his ability to go against longer offensive linemen in the NFL that can get into his chest before he can get into theirs because he doesn't have the ability to beat them. So I think he's a good player. I comp him like a Christian Wilkins type, right? But even then, Christian Wilkins had more tools. Like Christian Wilkins could kind of get himself out of a jam with power. But if we're talking like really good on early downs, third down, he's more of a complimentary rusher than like the guy. I always use the term a Batman, a Robin, and an Alfred. He's at best a Robin, but he might be an Alfred as a pass rusher. And I don't know if I would take that at 10th overall. Like Derek Harmon, I could see him being fucking Batman. Walter Nolan, I could see him being Batman. Kenneth Grant could be Batman. I don't see the ceiling there for Mason Graham. I think he's a good player. I just think people oversold like what he is during the season, and then I think people kind of got backed into a corner and they refused to like budge off that during the draft season. And they're saying like, oh, he's gonna go top 5, and I'm like, I don't think he will. I really don't think he will. He's DT4 for me, and he's good, but I don't have him that high, so he's not going to be the pick. But I want you to respond to that if you can.
Yeah, absolutely. I had this conversation with radio in Jacksonville this week, and we were talking before we got on air, and the host said to me, I think Mason Graham's going to be a player that plays 9 or 10 years in the NFL, which is a very successful career. Let's start with that. That's 3 times the average overall. And he might make 2 or 3 Pro Bowls. No all pros, no whatever. And that is a good football player. Let's not make any mistakes, right? That is a very good football player. We're saying Mason Graham is a good football player. If you're looking for difference makers moving to the next level, he was a difference maker in college. That doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be a difference maker in the pros. He's going to be a high floor, very solid. Let's talk about character in the room. He's absolutely the guy you want in there. Like that, all those things. But in terms of on-field difference making, it ain't the same moving from college to pro, and he's going to struggle more than some others do. Does that mean he's going to be bad or wash out or going to be a bust? I didn't say any of that. He's a very high floor player. He does not have a super high ceiling in my eyes. Now, if he hits it, awesome. I don't think he will. That's okay. I also wanted to address, chat said 2 other things about this possible pick for the Bears, which was Josh Simmons. I think Josh Simmons is the best left tackle in this entire draft on film. He has injury concerns and he has off-field concerns. And both of those things are weighing heavily with NFL teams. And I'll just say that. Like, so if you just want a left tackle as in terms of value, hell yeah, Josh Simmons plays great, right? You got to make sure you're comfortable with all the other stuff, and many teams aren't. The other one's Omarion Hampton. Omarion Hampton would be right after Mecca for me because I love Omarion Hampton. Been on the Hampton bus for 2 years now. Think he's awesome. Do not think in this kind of nightmare scenario for the Bears, it would be a bad choice at all. Again, works for the sticky note for me. You got a good football player. You got a really good football player. And I'm sure Ben would utilize him well. So you can just pencil Marion right in below Emeka for me. You know, Harmon or Nolan, Emeka, and then Marion Hampton. The other thing is the running back class is extremely deep. So you will be able to get a running back with 39 or 41 or 72 or 148. Like those options will be available. You're not probably going to, I'm just going to take the probably out of that statement. You're not getting another receiver like Emeka Ibuka at 72 or at 148. So there you go.
Yeah, spoiler alert, Emeka is going in the first round in this mock, but I won't tell you where. But it will make a lot of sense when we get there. Sure. All that to say, because again, we had to take a tangent to explain why this is not Mason Graham, so the Bears fans don't burn the building down, but they're probably going to anyway. Malachi Starks, you are a Chicago Bear. Just get good football players, baby, and he is the 28th highest paid safety at this contract slot. So, again, 28th highest paid safety, Malachi Starks. It is not too early for me. He is really, really, really good. He can do anything. He can play post safety, in the box, nickel, elite on special teams if you want him to be. Like, whatever you need Malachi Starks to do. And Bears also have a pretty, I wouldn't even say sneaky needed safety. They have a needed safety. Like, they just do.
Sure.
And, again, if the Jets were like the last stop on the train line, the Bears really are like the last. Like they're at the train yard where everything's getting serviced. Like this is it before there really is a drop off. Because Malachi Starks is like the last guy where I'm like, could argue blue chipper. And this is after this, everybody else is just kind of in the same pool for me.
Yeah, he's a great player. Again, a lot of the same arguments or same sounding arguments I had for Mason Graham. I think Malachi Starks is a better football player than Mason Graham. He is a safety, though. I do have an issue with that at 10 because safeties are available for less, and there are more safeties available that I really like. I got to studying safeties late in this draft. It was the second to last position group I studied, and that class is sneaky deeper than I thought it was. When I started off safety, I was like, oh, boy, if you don't get a safety in the top 3 or 4, you're done for. I don't believe that at all anymore. I think there's a bunch of really good safeties down the board, so that bothers me. I'm not worried about what he's getting paid because of his slot. I'm worried about, it's not saving you a lot of money either. There's an opportunity cost here. The difference between safety pay scale and wide receiver pay scale is pretty massive.
Yeah.
So if I'm just sort of weighing that and I have a Mecca at all close to Malachi Starks, I'm going to probably pick a Mecca and say, hey, we're going to be able to move on from DJ Moore in a year or two and know that we have 2 starters in Rome and a Mecca, and we're good to go. So it's more about balance. It's not about the player. Love the player, super versatile, played in the box a lot, really smart. We saw him up close to the combine, moves differently than all the other safeties. I really don't care how he tested because his on-field, reactions and speed are elite. His processing is really good. There's a lot of people saying, oh, well, he's not super special. He does have,
he's pretty special to me. I don't know. He's pretty special.
No, he's pretty special, but Doug Farrar coined this, and it is my one worry about him. He does have some vapor lock moments in coverage where he just kind of like seizes up in between 2 guys, and you're like, dude, what are you doing? Pick one. And it doesn't happen all that often, but it does happen. And when you're safety, that stuff is very high profile because that probably means touchdown.
Yeah.
Like that's your job. Like that's all there is to it. I like the player. Value wise, he would be after Marion in this spot for me just because of where he plays. Does Chicago have a safety need? Absolutely. They have a safety need. Byard's aging out. Brisker is probably 1 or 2 concussions away from, which are very fickle.
Are we sure? I'm not even sure Brisker's going to be playing this.
Well, he's cleared. He's back. He's practicing. He's excited, but the way he plays, it's an extreme risk. He is not going to slow down, nor should he. That's a good way to get injured. But again, it's not the need I would have gone after first for mostly financial reasons more than anything else.
Brings us to 11. Chat, you guys knew the Bears discussion was going to be a long one. Come on now. You knew going into this. Brings us to 11 with the Niners. If I'm the Niners, my first 2 picks are defensive line because the situation is that dire, right? Yep. It really is. Like they need dudes, whether it's nose, 3 technique, edge, like whatever. So for me, I'm taking my highest rated defensive lineman, period, at any defensive line position that I still have on the board, and that is Mr. Kenneth Grant from Michigan, my highest rated interior defensive lineman in this class. Again, you could argue Harmon here, but we're not 100% sure what the medical flags are on Harmon. We just know he has them. To my knowledge, Grant has no flags about anything ever because he's a great human and a great athlete and a damn good football player. And I have no concerns about him. I plop him next to Nick Bosa. He's my nose. Bosa's my edge. Like, God help you if you're trying to double Nick and you're leaving Kenneth Grant one-on-one with the center. He's just going to run his ass over. So I love Kenneth Grant. I'm sure Niners fans are going to be stoked about this because they're willing to take literally any defensive lineman. Doesn't matter who. Maybe some of them would want Mason Graham over Kenneth Grant. But again, I already explained why I'm a little bit lower on Mason. You could even argue Walter Nolan here. For me, it's just defensive line. Don't care who.
Dude, Kenneth Grant gets to work with Chris Kasurik.
That's what I'm saying, man.
Sign me the hell up. Like, Kenneth Grant's flashes when he puts it all together are otherworldly. Just alien stuff. Problem is he doesn't do it all the time. Doesn't mean he can't. Just right now he doesn't. If there is one coach, and I literally mean one coach in the NFL I would want him to work with, it's Chris Kasurik, and you just put him with Chris Kasurik. So I'm like, go swing, baby. Like that is going to be a match. He's going to be a force out there.
Brings us to the Cowboys at 12. This is a very chalky, very popular pick, and I don't care. I'm going to do it as well. And that's Matthew Golden to be the new number 2 receiver in Dallas. I think he reminds me so much of a young Brandon Cooks. who, again, has familiarity there. Just how he moves, how he's built, his skill set. Like, I think his ball skills are excellent. Like, Quinn Ewers threw up some passes where I'm like, not even remotely close. Like, they were just in his zip code, and he managed to snag them, even as a smaller guy. He doesn't necessarily play to 4.2 speed, but he plays to low 4.4 speed, which is good enough for me. Like, he's a legit deep threat. I love his short area burst. I think he's a good route runner. You know, I think he is a very, very, very high-end number 2 receiver that if CD gets hurt and we need Golden to be our number 1 for a couple weeks, we can absolutely get by with that. Knock on wood. I don't want CD to get hurt. But I think Matthew Golden is a natural fit in Dallas. He's a great complementary weapon, and this team needs a complementary weapon.
Yeah. Reminds me a lot of DJ Moore coming out, and in terms of physical size, speed, versatility, can play behind the line of scrimmage, but can also go out into the middle areas of the field. He's fearless going over the middle and will go deep as well. A really good learner of the game of football. Sark told a great story about him that in spring ball, he went out and he didn't run the route. Quarterback got back to him, threw the ball, passed like a couple yards in front of him, and he came over to Sark before he could say anything and said, "That'll never happen again." And Sark said it didn't. He didn't none run through another route for the rest of his time at Texas. And it's those kind of football players you want. And I think he fits pretty well in Dallas. There's a lot of questions about why not Tet. I get it, but it's a different flavor of receiver for sure. Mm-hmm. And I don't think a bad one. I think his ceiling might be just as high in a different role, which the Cowboys could really use. So there you go.
And when we get to Tetairoa McMillan, spoiler alert, he obviously will be in the first round of this mock. When we get there, I'll explain why I have McMillan going maybe a little bit lower than some people expect. A lot of people would think he'd be off the board at 12. For me personally, not so much. Brings us to the Dolphins at 13. Sneaky need at receiver. Not so sneaky, really. If you go on Twitter and see anything happening with Tyreek Hill ever. Not so sneaky need at receiver, but I'm not going to go that direction because they have a bunch of other stuff that I think they need first. Whether it's defensive line or offensive line depth, honestly, or corner. I think corner is a pretty big need for Miami as well. And I know a lot of Dolphins fans are locked in on Will Johnson here. Some of them might be even locked in on like Revel. Jahdae Barron is a popular pick, but he's off the board, obviously. Barron would be the pick if he was available. He's not. I am enamored with somebody else. And I fully understand there's so many caveats here. There's so many asterisks.
Is this where we go off the rails? I can't wait.
A little bit, but not really. I need people to understand if the medical flags check out, this is one of the 15 best players in this class. Benjamin Morrison from Notre Dame. Dude, watch Benjamin Morrison in 2023.
I'm with you. You don't have to tell me on this one, by the way. As long as the injuries pan out, and again, we will say it for the 15th time during the stream. We're not doctors. We don't see that stuff. Benjamin Morrison is an absolute athletic animal.
Fucking monster.
He moves very, very differently and in a very effective way for corner. I really, really like him. So if you think corner's the play here, and his medicals check out, I'm not going to argue one bit. Do they need the offensive line? Yep, they're going to come back to that well. They absolutely do. They'll probably come back to it twice. But if they choose to go corner here and they get a player with a clean bill of health that's as skilled as Benjamin Morrison, I'm not going to throw too many tomatoes at you for that one. Like 0, I think, is the number.
I swear to God, man, you watch 2023 Benjamin Morrison, he looks so much like Jonathan Joseph to me. And, if you're getting Jonathan Joseph at 13, sign me up. Like, he is incredible. Oh, my God. He's the best man corner in this draft. Like, I think he's a better man corner than Travis Hunter. I think he's a better man corner than Jahdae Barron. Like, he is the best man corner in this draft. He's insane. I just hope he's healthy. Because 2 hip surgeries plus a shoulder surgery. Like, if you told me he went in the 3rd round, I believe you. I 100% would believe you.
Just because of the meds.
Just because of medicals, not because of what he is as a player. So, again, maybe this is me manifesting, but if he doesn't go in the 1st round, it's because he has medical flags. And at that point, I don't know where he's going. But
you know the one line I couldn't get out of my head when I was watching his tape?
Huh?
I'm going to come at you like a spider monkey.
Dude, yes. Literally, yes. He is all over you, man.
Yeah.
He's so good. Oh, I love Benjamin Morrison.
Yep.
Anyway, 14. My inner Texans fan is happy because they don't get Tyler Warren. And I really don't want to face Tyler Warren every single year. Nope. And yet, my inner Texans fan is also scared shitless because that means Jihad Campbell is an Indianapolis Colt. You could argue for Colston Loveland here, but ultimately the shelf at tight end is a lot more manageable than the shelf at linebacker. You and I did another patron-only episode on the depth at linebacker in this class, and we don't really like a lot of the linebackers in this class a whole lot.
Fair to say.
The mid-round linebacker, boy, the drop-off is steep. Steeper than tight end. So I'm getting it while the getting's good. Jihad Campbell, best linebacker in this class. You can do anything with him. He covers, he rushes, he plays the run. He's a great athlete. Like, I love Jihad Campbell. Is it the biggest need on the team? No, but I think the bigger needs on the team can be addressed on day 2. I don't think you're getting anything like Jihad Campbell on day 2.
You're not. And this is back to that sticky note because we're not even halfway through the first round, folks. Like, this isn't even to pick 16. Get good football players, right? There could be plenty of debate about positions and how do you stack your picks and what comes on day 1 and what comes on day 2. Jihad Campbell in the first round, that is it's as close as you're going to get to a blue chip pick, and it fits a need. Like, yes, sir, sign me up.
Recap for those that just got here: Cam Ward at 1, Travis Hunter at 2, Abdul Carter at 3, Membu at 4, Genty at 5, Will Campbell at 6, Tyler Warren at 7, Jade Barron at 8, Kelvin Banks at 9, Malachi Starks at 10, Kenneth Grant at 11, Matthew Golden at 12, Benjamin Morrison at 13, Jihad Campbell at 14, which puts the Atlanta Falcons on the clock at 15.
Okay, if you don't take a pass rusher, I'm jumping off the train.
I am taking a pass rusher, but I'm not taking the one that I think a lot of people expect.
That's all right. If it was not pass rush at this point, I'd be like, buddy, come on. Like, read the room.
Then again, I'm sure a lot of people expect this to be Mason Graham. It's okay. You'll still be disappointed. Donovan Ezeraku is an Atlanta Falcon. I absolutely adore him, man. He's my second highest edge in this class as far as grade. Super clean prospect. Long arms, elite bend, elite burst, has a full arsenal of pass rush moves. Doesn't necessarily rush with power as much as I typically like my guys to rush with, but he's so damn good as far as like speed rushes go. I kind of don't care. Like, he's just a fastball off the edge. And they need a fastball off the edge. Like, one of these years, it's going to work. One of these guys they draft is going to end up good. I think it's going to be Donovan Ezeraku.
It might be. My favorite thing about Ezeraku as a player is that he's going to give you stuff even when he's not winning as a rusher, which is important. I mean, I know the whole reason you draft a rusher is to get pass rush. I get it, but you also don't want a stiff out there who can only do that. And Ezeraku had 42 stops this year, 3 forced fumbles, can drop into coverage. He doesn't do it a lot, but he is capable. He has the athletic profile to do that. High number of tackles, high number of assists. His missed tackle percentage as an edge is really small. He is a contributing player. He's going to give it to you every down he's out there. Played a lot of downs, played the number 1 ranked number of downs in this entire class, 766 snaps totally. So this is a football player who is out there because they know if they take him off the field, they're going to have a lesser player, whether they're thinking run stopper, whether they're thinking pass rusher for sure. Maybe they could sub in a coverage player, but again, playing as a primary edge, he is there. He is available. He is impactful. He is my edge 3, so right next to your, 1 step below yours. But I think it's a good pick, and I'm with you. One of them's got to work, right? One of these years,
eventually,
one of them has to pan out.
Brings us to the Cardinals at 16. Is this where Mason Graham finally goes off the board?
I don't know. Cardinals fans probably don't think they have a shot at him, so not many of them are mocking him to the Cardinals.
They do need a defensive lineman again.
Sure.
Feels like we've said that for every year the last 7 years, but they do need a defensive lineman again, particularly one that I think can play 5 technique or 3 technique. You could argue that's Mason Graham, but for me, the prototype for that in this class is actually Derek Harmon out of Oregon. Again, caveat, if medicals check out,
Sure.
We'll see. We know they exist. We don't know what they are. For all we know, it could be something minor, and where some team doctor clears them and some team doctor doesn't. I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but I do watch a lot of football, and I watch a lot of interior defensive linemen in this class, and I'm not sure any of them had any better tape than Derek Harmon this year. Like, he is an absolute unstoppable force. Absolutely unstoppable force. Was 340 at Michigan State, dropped down to 315 at Oregon to play 5 technique because they already had Jamari Caldwell, so they didn't need 2 guys that weighed 340. So, they slimmed him down, and he just became an absolute heat-seeking missile at 315 pounds. Him and Omar Norman-Lott are the 2 best interior pass rushers in this class, but he's also a hell of a lot bigger than Omar Norman-Lott. And I think he's a 3-down player. And who best to mentor him, as he starts his NFL career, than one of the best 5 techniques to ever play the sport ever in Calais Campbell, who's back home in Arizona. I love Derek Harmon here.
Yeah, I love the match, and the Calais Campbell call out is absolutely primo. Head coach can coach a little defense too, so I think this is going to be a fun spot for him. I hope he's healthy. I really hope he's healthy because, man, is he a power pack player when he's healthy. See very few guys in their upper body that have that much torque and then ability. Everybody's saying, oh, he doesn't finish. Dude had 55 pressures. He stirred the drink on a defensive line where 3 guys are getting drafted in this draft. Jamari Caldwell, Birch, and him are all getting drafted. And if you go back and look at who messed crap up on that line, it was Derek Harmon. Mm-hmm. Like, the other 2 cleaned up a lot. They messed some things up on their own, but not near as much. Like, this was Harmon dominating and screwing up game plans every single week. He's a great player.
That brings us to Cincinnati at 17.
Okay, I've been waiting for this all day. I can't even tell you. I so want to see what you're going to do here. I know what I would do.
Well, is it fair to say that Cincinnati has a little bit of higher risk tolerance than most other franchises?
Let's go. He's going to do it.
Mike Green.
Yeah, baby.
Is a Cincinnati Bengal.
Oh, this is so foretold in the stars.
He's so Bengals coded, man.
Yes, correct.
Sick ass football player. Not 100% sure about everything else, but boy, sick ass football player. Yeah. We'll see. We'll see. If we just stick to the narrow tunnel that is he a good football player?
Yeah, between the white lines, this is a great choice. Mike Green is a hell of a football player. I thought he was a really pure pass rusher from the little bit I knew about him before going into this season. When I sat down and did my full study, again, a little bit like Ezraku, not to the same extent, I found a very complete football player. Mike Green is good against the run. He is not a liability at all. He plays hard. He has great pass rush. Some of the better bend in this class. Bend is hard to find in this pass rush group. He's got it. Again, if you are comfortable with the off the field stuff, this is a huge need for the Bengals and a really good fit. That's definitely going to upgrade their defense. You do have to be comfortable with the stuff off the field. Some teams are, some teams aren't. There you go.
This team desperately needs defense. They really do. And they need pass rush help because outside of Trey Hendrickson, they ain't getting it from anybody. They really aren't. So I think they have higher risk tolerance than most franchises as it is. If you're looking at gestures at everything in the history of the Cincinnati Bengals, I think it's a natural fit, which brings us to the Seattle Seahawks at 18. A lot of different ways I could go here.
Yeah, this is the murderer's row of this draft. Right, these 3-4 picks right here are the ones I'm certainly the most interested in.
You could argue Mason Graham. You really could. But
for sure.
How many 3 techniques that moonlight at nose tackle does one team really need?
Mike McDonald's answer is N+1.
Just so many.
And N is the number you have.
I think if Kenneth Grant was here, they would go Kenneth Grant because he can actually be nose tackle, and then Byron Murphy can play 3 technique like they want him to. But I don't think they take Mason Graham for that reason because he's just another 3 technique body. So he's not coming off the board for me here. For that same reason, I'm not having Walter Nolan come off the board for me here. I thought about Colston Loveland, not coming off the board for me here.
Oh, please do it.
I think you know where I'm going. It's the one thing that John Schneider will never, ever, 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 ever do.
Then yes, you're absolutely doing it.
Gray Zabel
Yes.
is a Seattle Seahawk.
All
Best
right.
interior offensive lineman in the class, and they desperately need it.
I got asked 2 nights ago. I was out, and a friend of mine that I used to work with, her son is now grown, big Seahawks fan. He's, starting to get really interested in the draft. He's like 16, 17 years old. And he's, she said, it means a lot to him. Do you know who they're going to draft? I said, well, John's John. I have no idea, but I can give him, who I would pick. And my pick was Gray Zabel. Like if he's available, they need him so badly. He is going to slam the door shut on that need for them for 7, 8, 9 years, as long as they want to keep him, and be just a force there. He's a little bit like Malachi Starks on offense in terms of watching him on the turf in Indy at the combine was just different. Like you watched him for like 5 minutes. I watched him for like 5 minutes and I was like, done, sold.
Easy.
He's freaking great. He's going to be awesome. Like for a long time. I don't give people like guard or center. I was like, yes. Yep. He'll be just fine. Like, and people like, you don't, it's like, he'll be great at either. Did watch him snap. Like he is just an easy mover as a football player. And then you go back to his tape, which is again, mostly at tackle at North Dakota State. And he's got every bit of attitude from an offensive lineman. You might not know it from his still pictures or whatever. You turn on the tape, he is goring guys like a runaway bull.
Dude, he's an asshole. He's a straight up asshole.
He's great. Exactly what every offensive line coach in the country wants. He's a great athlete. He's position flexible. Like, yes, Gray Zabel to the Hawks. Great pick. It'll never happen.
It
would be a lot of fun.
Reminder, by the way, for the folks that just came in here, we're going to be live for every single pick over on our podcast channel, the Bootleg Football Podcast. So if you're looking for a second screen experience that does not have any commercial breaks the entire weekend, we're going to be over there reacting to every single pick, trying to give you as much context as we can, whether it's scheme fits, financial fits, upcoming free agents, all that stuff. We're going to do our best to guide you through draft weekend. Link is in the description, of course. Buccaneers. I'm sure Trevor Sikkema out there somewhere just perked up and he doesn't know why. Buccaneers on the clock here.
Oh, by the way, we owe him a little bit.
We do?
He and Connor did their 7-rounder on Saturday.
Uh-huh.
And they absolutely slayed for the Bears. Like, honestly, if those were the first 4 Bears picks, no offense, partner, I would drop the mic and walk off. I would just go
done
find
for the weekend.
I'm like, done. Don't care who else they pick. Let's go. Yeah, it was ridiculous. So get him a good one. That's all I'm saying.
I think they consider this a good one.
Okay.
Because finally, Mason Graham coming off the board to line up next to Vita Vea and Kalijah Kancey. How's that for a trio? Because this team goes 3 down quite a bit.
Yep.
And I love their ability with this trio, Vita Vea, Kalijah Kancey, and Mason Graham. Of course, Yaya Diaby being an edge player for them. I love their ability to mix and match in different situations. If we want to play the run on early downs, like we can have Vita Vea and Mason Graham out there in an early down nickel look if we're facing 11 personnel in early downs. If we're facing a 3rd and 8, then we just have Mason Graham and Kalijah Kancey on the field as our rush nickel look or rush dime look. Or if it's kind of like a 2nd and 6 and it could go either way, then we have Vita Vea and Kalijah Kancey on the field. So we kind of get like a little bit of thunder and lightning. So I just love their ability to mix and match. And then, of course, in base personnel, all 3 of them are going to be on the field together anyway. I couldn't let him go any further than this. And again, I want to emphasize, I think Mason Graham's really good, but I think he's like 15 to 19 good in this draft. And I think this is the perfect fit for him.
Yeah, I will consider the debt to Trev paid. I think that's a great pick, and it's a nice match. He's going to an established system where, again, his skills are going to work really well with what they do on defense. It's a great value. Yeah, I'm sold. We're good. We can check that off. Trevor and Connor paid.
I'll send this to him later and just let him bask in it for the 3 days that he has left before it's not true anymore.
There you go.
Broncos at 20. Folks, I'm not going to bullshit you. This pick is the one that's remained the same the entire time. Omari and Hampton. I basically wrote that in pen in February and just haven't moved it. He's going to be a Bronco. Like, he's one of the best players in this class. He really is. For me personally, I know EJ and I have slightly different grades on running backs. For me personally, the gap between Hampton and Trayvon Henderson and Ashton Genty is not super big. I acknowledge it's there, but not like a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So Amari and Hampton is just spectacular. And I think if there was a team that had a really, really, really obvious need at running back before this, he would have already been gone. But this is the first time where we kind of get to that first team that has an obvious need at running back, and it's a perfect talent fit. Plus, like, if we're looking at the financials of it, he's going to be, I'll have to pull up the exact chart, but it's like, I don't know, 20th highest paid running back if you take him here.
Yeah, he's down there at this point.
Like, I think it's a perfect scheme fit, financial fit, talent fit, like culture fit, everything. It's just a fit. Like, I put it in February and haven't moved it since Combine Week, so I'm good to go.
Do you think they'll take a lightly used Malachi Starks?
Oh, you want to trade straight up? Just get him in the building and then be like, okay, this is your connecting flight. You're actually going to Denver.
Right. We brought you in. We're not going to do the press conference. Hold on. You can still wear the blue and orange suit, both of you. It's good. It's interchangeable. But no, Omarion Hampton's a great fit. Javonte Williams was a great fit for them when he was healthy, but he hasn't been healthy, was not healthy last year. He looked terrible. I actually think Omarion's a little bit better, and I really like Javonte Williams. So he's a great back. Sean Payton's going to have a lot of fun beating up defenses with him. Like, it's a great fit.
I kind of think he is. How do I phrase this without sounding insane?
You got some work to cover that ground, buddy.
Imagine what Pierre Thomas was for Sean Payton in the late 2000s, but like better. Like,
okay,
Pierre Thomas and Mark Ingram, like DBZ fusion dancing together into one body. Like,
okay, there we go.
Yeah.
Now you got me. Just Pierre Thomas and Marion Hampton, I'm like, buddy, does not compute.
I'm talking like effectiveness in the screen game. Like, he's not necessarily a down the field receiver like, say, Brashard Smith, but like,
okay.
You know how Pierre Thomas, like, every time he caught a screen, he got a first down, like, automatically.
Oh, for sure. But I wouldn't be the first or third or 350th comparison out of my mouth for Marion Hampton.
just take the 2008 Saints backfield and just mix it in a petri dish.
Just mash it all together into a ball, and you have Marion Hampton. Super well built back, 6 foot, 220 pounds, runs like a wrecking ball. Just a really, really good player.
Brings us to the Steelers at 21.
I cannot wait, and I know Hawkeyes is in cold sweats right now.
I don't know if he's going to like this, but I like it specifically because I think he needs it. I think this player needs this building to reach the potential I think he has.
Oh, boy.
He needs to be surrounded by grown-ass men who aren't going to put up with shit, who are going to get him on the straight and narrow. Again, I think there's a difference between character concerns and maturity concerns. I think it's really more maturity concerns here. Similar to how Jalen Carter went to Philly, and I think Jalen Carter in Philly and Jalen Carter in Chicago have very different stories. I think this player needs Pittsburgh to become what he is capable of, and that is Walter Nolan, future Steelers legend.
I think Hawkeyes will be pretty excited about that. I'd be pretty excited about that. Walter Nolan's great player. That Ole Miss line was completely loaded. Nolan is the best of them, if you can believe it, and again, stirred a lot of their drink on defense and wins in a lot of ways, which is one of my favorite things about Walter Nolan tape is that he's very versatile. He does not, you talked about Mason Graham not having the ability to transition from one rush to another. Walter Nolan can already do that in several different instances. He's useful all over the line. Great modern NFL defensive tackle.
Hawkeyes in chat said, Brett, why are you the way that you are? Would you prefer Jackson Dart?
Hey,
I can go back and queue it up.
Jalen Milrow.
You want Jalen Milrow?
Yeah. We can make this work worse. No. Easy for me to say.
We will find a way. All right. Chargers are up. This is honestly not how I wanted the board to fall for the Chargers because I really wanted Kenneth Grant here.
Yeah.
And I really wanted Walter Nolan.
Yeah.
Didn't work out for me. And I also wanted Ezraku. Didn't work out for me.
So you're getting a Tyler Booker?
Oh, God, no.
I saw that in a draft today. I immediately thought of you. I was like, Chargers, Tyler Booker. Oh, I know who'd love that.
And, well, here's the thing. He is their style, but he also isn't. Because
Yes,
he's
I
an
would agree with
absolute just pit bull in a 5-yard box, right?
Yep.
But, like, Greg Roman pulls his guards so much that I'm like, I don't know if he's going to like him that much. Like, I think he'd love Gray Zabel. He would adore Gray Zabel. I don't know if Tyler Booker's his speed. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know, but
We'll see.
we'll see. So I'm looking at weapon here because the pass rushers that I want are not, or like specifically for this style of defense, the pass rushers I want aren't really there. So I'm looking at weapons. I'm looking at Tedero McMillan. I'm looking at Mecca Ibuka. I'm looking at Jaden Higgins. And I thought about all of them equally. And then I decided they brought back Mike. You got Ladd. This team's going to be in 12 personnel a lot anyway.
Oh.
Will they really be on the field that much? Because they brought back Mike to play X. Let's be real. Like, Mike is their X. So if they want receiver depth, I think they do it on day 2. But I think they're going to live in 12 personnel. And there's a tight end on the board that we know they love. No pun intended. Colston Loveland, welcome back to Jim Harbaugh's offense. You are an LA Charger. Is he a true Y tight end? No. But I think he is really effective as an insert blocker. I think he's effective as a blocker in space in the screen game as well as in the perimeter run game. Like, I think he gives effort, and I think there are certain blocks he's good at, but he's not a true Y tight end that's going to line up and dig out a defensive end of line of scrimmage. That's just not what he does. But that's okay. Like, Jim Harbaugh knows that. He's well aware of that. And they're not going to ask him to do that. They're going to ask him to do the types of blocks that he is really good at, which is, being, if they're in the sift run game and he's doing that sift block on the backside, he's going to do that. He's going to be an insert. If in the screen game, he's going to be the guy, leading out front in the screen game for Ladd. That's what they're going to make him do. He's going to be damn good at it. Mm-hmm. And he's just a really, really, really good receiver. So, considering the type of offense this is, it's going to be in 12 personnel all day long anyway. I think they're more likely to do this than receiver. And if they want receiver, they just grab one of the million receivers that are going to go in the second and third round.
Quite frankly, they're getting a lot of receiver if they get Colston Loveland. He is like, a lot of people have been talking about Loveland as a possibility for Chicago. And the reason that comes up is because Ben's there. And I've put it as, it's like if you took Sam Laporta and Amon-Ra St. Brown and mashed them together.
Oh, interesting.
You have this option out of the slot that runs better than a typical tight end, is bigger than a slot receiver, has really good hands, is far more dynamic than any of the tight ends in this class, but really sort of bridges the line. If you had a really good slot receiver, like, you'd have to figure out who is getting those touches because those are the touches Loveland gets in an offense. If you don't, or you haven't decided on one of those yet, you kind of get a little bit of both with some blocking ability, but you get very high level, I'm going to say refined receiving chops with Colston Loveland. And like, Justin Herbert's going to be jumping up and down if this happens because he's going to make Colston Loveland a household name. So
I promise I'm still here. I'm just changing my camera battery, folks.
Oh, we're going batteries today. We forgot that cords are a good idea.
Well, there's a whole story behind this. I set up all the clamps from my desk, and then I realized that I didn't actually plug in the cable for the camera, and I was like, I am not taking this apart right now. That's like a 2-hour project that future Brett's going to deal with. So I just started charging batteries. I'm like, I'm not dealing with that shit. So.
Nice. I love it.
I'll get it fixed for draft day.
No, I love this pick. It's a great fit. And, if you want to look at the highest possible end of what he could be, look at what Greg Roman did with Mark Andrews. In the passing game, like not the blocking game, but in the passing game, you're going to see that maybe in year 1 because the ability is there from Colston Loveland to do that. And like, Roman didn't forget how to do it. So.
Okay. Brings us to the Packers at 23.
Hey, cool. Skip the pick. Moving on.
They need a corner.
Yep.
Jair Alexander probably going to be traded. We assume he's going to be traded. We're not like 100% sure, but we're pretty sure he's going to be traded. And there's a corner on the board who I think is a perfect fit for the type of defense they run, which is cover 3 all day, every day. And if we're talking about a receiver who excels in zone coverage, maybe doesn't have the best top-end speed, but has great feet, great hips, great instincts, great ball skills. It excels when he's playing top-down on a receiver. So, similar to Jahdae Barron, honestly. I just think Jahdae Barron's like a slightly better version of it, but like we're splitting hairs here, pretty close. I think the best fit for this defense is Will Johnson from Michigan. I think they're going to trade Jair, slide in Will Johnson, be a starting corner for them day one, and not miss a beat. How do you feel about that?
I want to see the medicals on Siobhan
for
Revel.
For sure.
Like,
I understand the Revel.
Yeah,
fit.
I would say Trey Amos or Siobhan Revel would be, I'm going to say, in the mix. They're not locks, right? You don't know when coaches sit in the room and they drill all these guys on the board and talk to them about them as players and talk to them as people, and then really go, hey, that's a guy I want to work with. Now, we got the chance to sit with Siobhan Revel and do an interview with him. Great guy. I've seen some interviews with Trey Amos. Really like what he's bringing to the table, both from a physical perspective. I actually think he might even be a little bit better in terms.
I could see it. I think he's more versatile, at least. I think he's a better man corner than Will Johnson is, but I get it.
Right. So if you're talking about cover 3, like I might lean Amos here, but I'm not upset. Again, if Will Johnson's healthy, he is one of the best corners in this draft with his eyes playing towards the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
You talked about Kyle Fuller before, right? In the Kyle Fuller style. Now, he's a different athlete, but in that style of coverage where you're playing off, you give him a little bit of space, you're watching the quarterback's eyes, and you break, like Will Johnson is one of the most dangerous corners in that style in this draft. And I know that sounds like backhanded praise. It's not. He can turn a game and go pick 6 from that alignment almost whenever he wants to. So I'm really, again, I hope his health pans out. I can see the fit. I might lean Amos, but again, strangely enough, our buddy Tom Grossi reached out like 3 weeks ago and said, hey, give me the crib notes. Here's 3 positions the Packers need. Give me 3 names at each. And both of these guys were in the packet of stuff that I sent him. So
quick note for the mods. I just realized the Discord link that I have in the description was left over from last year. I'm not sure it still works. So to my wonderful mods, if you happen to be in chat, if you could drop a link to the Discord server so that people can join, that would be great, because I can't find it at the moment. All right. Vikings are on the clock at 24, but I want to do a quick recap of the last 10 picks for people that just got here. Benjamin Morrison at 13 to Miami, Jahad Campbell at 14 to the Colts, Donovan Ezuraku at 15 to the Falcons, Derek Harmon at 16 to the Cardinals, Mike Green at 17 to the Bengals, Gray Zabel at 18 to the Seahawks, Mason Graham at 19 to the Bucks, Hampton at 20 to the Broncos. Forgot the team name for a second there. Doing great today. Walter Nolan is a Steeler, and Colston Loveland is a Charger, and Will Johnson is a Packer. Vikings on the board at 24. Sneaky destination for receiver here. Jordan Addison has 2 years left on his deal, and I think Jordan Addison, speaking of trade targets, here's my tinfoil hat theory for you.
Okay.
Because I think the Patriots are going tackle at 4, and I think the Patriots are also going to miss out on a lot of the receivers they want in the back end of the first because there's going to be a run. What do you think about the Patriots sending a day 2 pick to the Vikings to take Jordan Addison off their hands? And then the Vikings turn right around and take Tedero McMillan at 24 to be their number 2 of the future. How about that?
I love it for KOC. I do not like it as an opposing NFC North defense. That would be an ugly passing lineup to go against, assuming that McCarthy is who you think he is. I like it for the Patriots too, because May would get another target, and boy, do they need targets in that offense as well. And it's kind of a creative way to do that. If they have a receiver down the board who they like as much, they'd probably just do that. But again, there's bird in the hand versus, two in the bush, right? It's a proven thing. So,
and I think he's just the ideal Z receiver for them, because Justin is a great X, obviously. I mean, you can move Justin Jefferson anywhere, but Justin is a great X. He's just tremendous against press man coverage, to the point where teams don't really like doing it against him. And
Yep.
McMillan, I think, is a natural fit at Z because he does something that both infuriates me but also kind of accentuates his style. His drive phase of the route is
Yeah.
so annoyingly slow. Like he treats everything like a choice route. It's not that he is slow. He actually can get up to pretty decent speed. It's just he slow plays every route. He slow plays every release, and it's so annoying. But if you're an off-ball receiver who's either a big slot or a Z, and you're running a bunch of choice routes, and you're settling in space, and you're getting yards after the catch, which is what he does best. Like people see him as like an Alshon Jeffrey type, that's like an X receiver that's going to go out there and like be a deep threat and post people up. I don't see that being his main role. I see his main role being like an Eric Decker, your off-ball receiver. It's going to move the chains,
Mm.
find space in the defense. Like he's very good at reading zone coverages. He's very good at being a quarterback's best friend as far as like putting himself between the DB and the ball. Like he is just that safety blanket type receiver, not necessarily the dynamic win down the field X receiver. That's what Justin Jefferson's for anyway, right? So like he is our yak threat, our zone beater. Jefferson's our man beater, and like we roll with that. And JJ McCarthy's going to love him for that reason. And again, I say Addison, I don't think he's going to be in Minnesota long term anyway because of
Mm.
everything. I think he could be shipped out there, and they'll just take whatever pick they can get from him. And McMillan's your number 2, and then if we need to get number 3, we get like Chim Dike in the 5th round or something like that.
Yeah.
You know,
My my overlap there is that Tet's going to do a lot of the stuff behind the line of scrimmage they do with Jordan Addison anyways.
yeah, yeah.
For a really tall guy, he's pretty effective there. They gave him a lot of little rolling screen targets, and he paid him off. Like you don't often see guys as tall and lanky as him able to move like he does in the short area, and he's really effective there. So he's actually going to kind of, the Venn diagram is going to overlap a little bit with Addison's role. He can do some different things that Addison can't, and vice versa. But that part would actually just be kind of like replacement, find and replace.
Brings us to the Texans at 25. I really want to go Josh Simmons here. I really do. But at the same time, I acknowledge that is so unrealistic. Because if the Texans just shipped out a left tackle for not exactly being great in the room, they're not going to turn around and draft another tackle who was not known as being great in the room. Like I just don't think he's their style at tackle. So I'm going to keep this like somewhat realistic. And I'm still going to take a tackle that I think is worth the pick. And that's Josh Connerly Jr. He's awesome. He really is.
I love him.
He's extremely good.
Player.
You watch him against Abdul Carter, like he handled Abdul Carter's speed pretty well. And if you can handle Abdul Carter's speed, you can handle any speed in the NFL. I think he's a tremendous left tackle prospect as a pass protector, as a run blocker, a little hit and miss. Like I don't think it's a lack of want to, but I do think he is kind of your classic better pass protector than run blocker, I guess is the best way to put it. But, the Texans need pass protection. By God, they need pass protection. So I'm cool with it.
And if you wait, you're not going to get it. I actually think he's a pretty good run blocker. He's not great. He's not as good as a few of the other top tackles, but he is not a liability at all. You see good run block on Arley's tape. They're not all the time. It's not consistent. He is a better, and by better, I mean a more consistent pass blocker, but he is one of the more complete left tackles in this draft, which makes him extremely valuable. And the Texans will be lucky to get him at 25 for that reason, because a lot of the players, we've already talked about a bunch of them who play tackle in this draft. They either aren't left, they're right tackles exclusively, or they've got questions, whether it's medical or off the field. Like Josh Connerly is one of the few kind of, I don't want to say plug and play, but has the ability to be a plug and play left tackle that you can develop with and not get, dog walked at the start.
That brings us to the Rams at 26. I really don't think there's a better fit, like prospect team fit in this entire mock than this pick right now. And it's going to break your heart. It really is. Emeka Egbuka. Is there not a more perfect Rams receiver than Emeka Egbuka?
It doesn't break my heart at all because he's going to get to play with Stafford and McVay. Like in terms of wanting to see players succeed, and we say this all the time. Sometimes people believe us, sometimes they don't, but we do want to see all these players reach their heights. If Emeka Ibuka goes to the Rams, he's going to reach his height pretty much instantly.
Mm-hmm.
Like by week 5, he's going to be playing at a veteran level because he's already playing at a veteran level. He was at Ohio State. He's going to be playing with a great quarterback and a coach that understands how to use him. Another great receiver on the other side. Like, let's go. What a great place as a player to show up to and be like, I know why they picked me. I know how they're going to use me. I know what I could do for them. And they're saying the exact same thing about the player. So it doesn't break my heart. Like breaking my heart would be, sending Emeka off to some gulag where they don't throw to wide receivers and watching him flounder for a couple of years and having to sit through all the people going, see, Emeka's a dud.
Or like, throwing him to a team that doesn't have a quarterback that can't complete passes to him.
Exactly. So this doesn't make me sad at all.
He's just such a perfect fit in the sense that he has no weaknesses. He's arguably the one receiver in this class that doesn't have a weakness. Like you could argue even Travis Hunter has like a couple little minor weaknesses here and there. It's just like his strengths are so overwhelming that it almost doesn't matter, right?
Yep.
But he's got size, he's got speed, he's got short area burst, he's got route running ability, he blocks his ass off.
Yep.
His character is like one of one. Like he is.
I heard one of two in this draft.
Him and Jalen Walker.
No, but I literally heard like 2 players in this draft like aced all of their interviews.
Oh, yeah.
For character, football, whatever. Like, and Ibuka was one of the 2. So of 350 guys being considered as likely candidates in this draft, like Ibuka was one of 2. He is top of the top.
I think they run it in if he's on the board. I really do.
I wouldn't be sad in any way for the team, for the player, for value. Like it's all good. So
Ravens at 26 on the clock here. Ooh, I'm going to move this. Ooh, not that. Not moving that. Ooh, there we go.
Don't move that.
Do this. Sorry. Have to readjust on the fly. All right. Ravens on the clock, 27. I struggle with this one. I really did. Because every single year, it feels like a tradition where like the Ravens just get the player that's falling down the board.
Yeah, grab the best football player left.
We can never really explain it, but they just always get it.
Yeah.
And so I was like, biggest need versus just who's the best player that's falling.
Yeah.
And I opted to just kind of go with what the Ravens tend to do, which is just who's our BPA. And for me, that's Nick Scorton from Texas A&M, which is like a positional. It's not that they don't need edge, right? It is a need, but he's just the best player. He's just the best player. And I think if he's playing at his Purdue weight, not his Texas A&M weight, if he's playing his Purdue weight, he is a damn good pass rusher. He's one of the 4 best edge pass rushers in this class. If he's not playing heavier like how the Aggies wanted him to play, because for whatever reason, they hate having NFL talent on the defensive line produce. That's just how they play defense. They don't want their guys to make plays, apparently. So they don't set them up to make plays at all. But you go back to his Purdue tape, he was making plays every single week, regardless of who he was lined up against. Like, he is a spectacular player.
Yeah, and again, the rich get richer, and they know how to develop him. So he's already good. They will find a way to get him right. Like, whatever that way is, they will find that way. And it might take them a year. It doesn't always happen in the first year, especially for pass rushers for the Ravens. But by year 2, year 3, those guys are absolute killers, and they've got them completely just integrated into the program and sort of at their perfect fighting weight, whatever that is for them within that defense. And there's a lot to work with Nick Skurton. Like, coming in, he's already playing at a high level. This isn't a ball of clay player. This is an accomplished, I would say easily the best of the 3 at Texas A&M, and Ravens get their hands on him and look out. Like, he's going to be a very effective player for them.
EJ, you want to get weird?
I don't know. How weird are we going to get?
Detroit Lions are on the clock.
Okay.
We're about to get a little weird.
All
but
right.
I don't care.
I was waiting for this. I don't want to say this was chalky because that would be
Oh no,
hyperbole.
I couldn't lay off this one. This is a two-seam fastball high and inside. Like I'm
All right.
swinging at that bitch. I don't know if I'm hitting it, but I'm swinging at it. I love this player,
Okay.
and there's so many reasons why you wouldn't take him here, and I understand those reasons, and I soundly reject them because I do not give a shit. Darius Alexander is a Detroit Lion. He is so explosive. He's got hands like dynamite. He's got length, power, quickness, production. He's a 25-year-old defensive lineman from the MAC, and I don't care. I really don't. Like, his tape is so good. His measurables are so good. You know, people are like, you might only get 2 contracts out of him. You think I give a shit what we're doing 9 years from now? Like, no, I need players now. We're trying to win a fucking Super Bowl. Darius Alexander can win a Super Bowl for us, so we're doing it. Great player.
Great player. I think great fit with Dan Campbell. Heavy-handed and, went to the Senior Bowl and just wrecked shop. And everybody was like, okay, so the strength of competition at Toledo, we can pretty much put that to bed. That's not a problem. Talking about the don't care just kills me because have you watched 1923?
No, not yet.
Okay, so Harrison Ford plays the head of the ranch, right? He's at the docks one time. They think he's been shot. They're trying to take a bullet out of him. And he's like, it's not a bullet. It's an old wound. He's like, no, sir, we have to get it out because the bullets, if we leave them in, they'll kill you slow from lead poisoning. He looks at him and goes, I'm 80 fucking years old. You think I care about the slow ones? You think I care about 2 contracts? I'm going to have Darius Alexander.
That's good.
I'm going to have Darius Alexander wrecking shop next to Hutch. Like, I don't care. Let's go. Let's go win right now. I dig it. I don't know that I've seen that one mocked, and we've seen a lot of mocks at this point, but like, that's a solid pick. It's a solid fit for the program, for their needs. Like, I don't really have any issue with that. If people got really uppity about that, I'd be like, why? Like,
yeah,
don't get it.
The theme of the day is take good football players. That's what we're doing.
And
here,
he
folks.
is that for sure.
I got a fun one for the Commanders
Okay.
fans that have stuck this one out and waited this long.
Right. There you go.
Goal number 1 for this franchise is what? Make Jaden Daniels successful. That means protection or weapons. For me, my best player on the board that falls into that category is Jaden Higgins from Iowa State. How about we just give him another receiver that's a great ball winner down the boundary where he can just chuck it up and say, go get it. You got that. You got Terry. You got Debo. Like, yeah, the defense isn't great, but if we're scoring 35 every week, I don't know if I really care that much. Like, this offense is going to be insane, and that's all I really care about here.
Yeah, Jaden Higgins, almost a 60% contested catch rate, a 2.2% drop rate, which, considering his ADOT was 13.7, they were throwing it down the field to him. Is you take that combination of 3 stats. I know it just sounds like a lot of numbers, but you got a 6'4", 6'4", 214.
With
guy
deep speed, burst,
literally just go get it. I think when our shameless plug bootleg positional rankings drop here in the next couple of days. In fact, wide receiver is going to drop tonight after this. I think people will be a little surprised where I have Higgins because he is a very good player, and you have Jaden Daniels throwing him the ball. Yes, please. Like, we'll figure the rest out later. Like,
we do need edge here. We do need corner here. But I was looking at like the package of the receivers that we would get in the late second round versus the edges that I think we get in the late second round, right? So it's like a package of Jaden Higgins plus like JT Tuimoloau. Yes, sign me up.
100%.
Like rest of the draft.
Especially for
like,
this defense.
Oh my God. Like we could take off the next 5 rounds and I'd be like, cool, we got Higgins and JTT. And then like I think there's also some round 2 corners that are going to be pretty sneaky in this class. Like I think that they can get it. But they can't get Jaden Higgins on day 2. So that was kind of my thinking on that. All right, Bills at 30. I'll be honest, I don't know where this player is going to go. I have no idea. You could say top 20. You could say out of the top 50. And I believe you either way. but I think the talent is so great that for me, not having any sort of, what's the word, firsthand insight into what he's like in the room, I don't know enough to say I wouldn't take him here. I think it's the best way to phrase it.
Fair enough.
So I'm willing to take the risk because I don't have any information that would suggest not doing it, other than just like people ominously saying, "Hey, be careful," and I'm like, "Well, that doesn't help me at all."
Right.
So Princely Mielen is a Buffalo Bill at pick 30, and if the character, or rather maturity, really is to the level where this is not going to work, fine, I'll take those slings and arrows. But I don't have any information that would tell me it's not going to be fine, so I'm just going to operate off tape grade, and tape grade I think is worth this pick.
He's their type. Like,
yep.
He is a tall, long, athletic edge rusher that can get up the field. It's going to give them another pass rush weapon if you're, rushing him off the edge opposite Russo. Like, I love that already. So again, and they do have a veteran team. This is, and I don't just mean veteran players, right? This is the same coaching staff. This is the same GM. This is an established operation, much like the Ravens, where we have stability and you come in and you fit or you don't. But all these guys who are here fit because we picked them to fit, and they've decided to fit, and you can either jump on that train with us or get off. But like, we're not worried about you derailing the train because we're really strong in our convictions here. So, if there's a team that can handle it, sure. Bonus content.
If you're getting the most out of him, though, like his first step has been like, if he hits his ceiling, he is a 10 sack guy, which is that's high. There's not a lot of those. Like, there's really not. But he can hit that ceiling. It's just he needs to go to the right room, right? Similar to Walter Nolan. He just needs to go to the right room.
Former Florida recruit, plenty of stars behind his name coming out of high school. He's got all the tools for sure. And you do see it on tape. It's not that there's no production. It's some inconsistent production, but when he hits it around the corner, man, it's a flash. It's kind of crazy. All right. Bonus content for Bills fans, because this is a player I was watching, not in the first round consideration, where how this happens. You're watching a player and you go, oh my God, he is a, Buffalo Bill, or he is a Steeler. Sean McDermott loves his defensive backs. RJ Mickens.
Oh yeah, 100%. That's a Bill safety.
He is a Bill. If he becomes a Bill in like the fourth round, I'll be like, sure enough. I said that to all my Bills buddies. I was like, keep it in mind. This is a Sean McDermott guy. If he is available and they need another safety, which they do, Mickens could be in your room next year for sure.
I also, for Bills fans, by the way, bonus content, I did consider Trey Amos here.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think he also fits extremely well. But
all the Ole Miss guys.
All the Ole Miss guys. Chris Paul, like literally all of them. Just draft Ole Miss.
An Ole Miss player. That's awesome.
Brings us to the Chiefs at 31.
Oh, God. You know who they're taking.
It has to be.
It has to be. We talked about a pick faded in the stars earlier. Like, this is
Josh Simmons is a Kansas City Chief.
The Chiefs do not give one single flying whatever about off-field stuff, character stuff, personality stuff. They will take you if you can play. And Josh Simmons, as we've said, could play as long as he clears the medicals. This is like going to happen.
Yes, he's so talented. So talented. And again, I keep saying it, if he gets to the right room and hits his ceiling, he is a perennial Pro Bowl left tackle. And I know Chiefs fans are like, well, we just signed a guy, for $15 million for 2 years. Like, that is not a contract.
Did you see the smoke on that came out today? Oh, they've been stalking him for years.
Sure.
They wanted him badly in the draft.
So they gave him 2 years. Okay.
This is just the culmination of their master 4D chess plan. I was like, wow. If you ever wanted to throw people off of the fact you're taking Josh freaking Simmons, this would be the way to do it.
I think that they only did that deal because they weren't sure that they were going to get any tackles. And so they wanted to make sure they weren't 100%. Completely screwed like they were last year, where they're like, I guess we'll take Kingsley because it's the last one we can. And then Kingsley ended up being a guard anyway because he couldn't play tackle. So they were just trying to insulate themselves. But they're if one of these tackles is there, they're going to take one. They have to.
Yeah.
All right. 32. Eagles. Another team that just takes whatever's falling. Who's the best player? That's just going to end up at 32 inexplicably. For me, it's James Pierce Jr. Oh no! Wait, did it? Oh, okay, there we go. Hold on. Now I can show the whole board. In the meantime, though, EJ, James Pierce, best possible fit for the Eagles? Yay, nay?
I don't know about best possible fit. It's the best possible landing spot for James Pierce. And usually, you like these things to go both ways. If they get everything out of him, and they've proven that with multiple players, even on the defensive line, even recently. Yes, the rich get richer here. James Pierce has great size, can get up the field in a way that very few pass rushers in this class can. His burst off the line at his size is pretty ridiculous. And there are, I would say maturity questions. It's not, we're not talking about crimes. We're not talking about, you talked about the difference between character and maturity. Like, there are maturity questions for sure. But if any room was going to be able to absorb that and handle it and do well with it, that's Philly. So, and yeah, it certainly doesn't hurt their D-line rotation at all to have another fireballer off the edge with great size. Don't think he's as complete as some other ends, but again, we talk about players with super high skills in the areas they really need them. That's James Pierce. He can get by on his burst, his flash, and flashes some pretty good power too. Not awesome. I was
going to say, like, his speed to power, like for a guy of his frame, is really impressive.
Very good.
Really impressive. So. I think he's a good player. Again, off the field might push him to day 2, just from maturity, not crimes, like you said. But as far as like talent goes, he is worth the Eagles adding to the room to be another edge rusher for them. Absolutely. I think he's just the best talent on the board for me still. Reminder, again, before people click off this, if you want a commercial-free second screen experience for every single pick of the draft, EJ and I will be over on our podcast channel, the Bootleg Football Podcast. He wonderfully graces my personal channel every single year to roast my mock draft live for all of you.
Happy to be here.
But over on the Bootleg Football Podcast, link in the description, we go live a half hour before every single start of each day of the draft. We go through every single pick of that day. We do the night before Draftsmith stream on Wednesday evening at 7 Eastern, right?
Yeah, I think that's right. We said 4 Pacific, so yeah, 7 Eastern.
We'll be answering your draft questions the night before the draft. We're live for every single pick. We look at financial situations, upcoming free agents, scheme fits, everything. So if you want that added second screen experience, please go check that out. I got nothing else for you, so I'm just going to recap this first round for those of you that are just listening to this and not watching it on the screen. Cam Ward at first to the Titans, Travis Hunter at number 2 to the Browns, Abdul Carter at number 3 to the Giants, Armand Membu at number 4 to the Patriots, Ashton Genty at number 5 to the Jags, Will Campbell at number 6 to the Raiders, Tyler Warren at number 7 to the Jets, Jahdae Barron at number 8 to the Panthers, Kelvin Banks at number 9 to the Saints, Malachi Starks at number 10 to the Bears, Kenneth Grant at 11 to the 49ers, Matthew Golden at 12 to the Cowboys, Benjamin Morrison, my guy, at number 13 to the Dolphins, Shahad Campbell at 14 to the Colts, Donovan Izaraku at 15 to the Falcons, Derek Harmon at 16 to the Cardinals, Mike Green at 17 to the Bengals, Gray Zabel at 18 to the Seahawks, which is never, ever, ever going to fucking happen, but it's okay. I'm living in my fantasy world. Mason Graham at 19 to the Bucks. Also never going to happen, but that's okay. Amari and Hampton at 20 to the Bengals. Broncos. Can't say Broncos today. Walter Nolan at 21 to the Steelers. Colston Loveland at 22 to the Chargers. Will Johnson at 23 to the Packers. T-Mac at 24 to the Vikings with a little asterisk of trading Jordan Addison. Josh Connerly at 25 to the Texans. Emeka Ibuka at 26 to the Rams. Nick Scored at 27 to the Ravens. Darius Alexander at 28 to the Lions. Jaden Higgins at 29 to the Commanders. Princely Uman Mielen at 30 to the Bills. Or Trey Amos, Bills fans, whichever ones you want. I don't care. It's 30th.
Your favorite
whatever.
Ole Miss player.
Throw a dart at the Ole Miss depth chart. I don't give a shit. Josh Simmons at 31 to the Chiefs. And James Pierce Jr. at 32 to the Eagles. You may have noticed that Shedeur Sanders is not there. That's on purpose. I don't have a first-round grade on Sanders. I'm not taking him in the first round. because me, as a hypothetical GM, I'm not that desperate. Now, if I was GM for the Steelers and I had that problem to solve, maybe if I had enough drinks on draft night, you could talk me into it. But for me, the neutral GM, I'm not doing that. Am I wrong there, EJ?
I don't think you're wrong. Again, this draft, as you said at the top, is a what you would do mock draft, not what you would do if you were employed by a team, trying to save your job. And, that may be the case for several of these guys. And as we know, quarterback need always outstrips supply, always. Yeah. And then people do desperate things. And honestly, I know there's a lot of hangover from like Kenny Pickett'em out there.
It scarred a lot of people.
Right. Shedeur Sanders is a better player than Kenny Pickett was.
Yes, he is.
For everybody saying, oh, it's Kenny Pickett all over again, it's not. It's a similar situation in terms of the forces and leverage that are coming together that will get him picked most likely in the first round. It's not the same from a player's perspective. So it's not a death knell. Like the Pickett thing was like, oh, do you really think this is going to work at the time? I don't feel that way about Shedeur Sanders. Am I picking him in the first round? I don't want to. If I'm a team that really needs a quarterback and I don't have another option and I got to sell tickets this year, yeah, I might. So we'll see.
I'll just be one of the 20 teams lining up to take Kyle McCord on day 2. How about that? All right. Thank you, everybody, for stopping by. Again, we'll see you on Wednesday night over on the Bootleg Football Podcast channel, as well as Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Every single pick. Make sure to catch us over there. And with that, I bid you adieu. Later.